Woohoo! So, we're going to patch that side of the car and do the rest of the stitch welding and everything else I can get my hands on today. We don't know where we're going to go. I wasn't originally going to come out here, but work is pissing me off. So like I've said before, work pisses me off. I come out here till this pisses me off, and then I go back in till work pisses me off, and it's a vicious cycle. For now, ignore those markings. They were just rough markings, just so I was kind of highlighting where I kind of wanted to cut out. Obviously, I went way further back than I had to. But this is the panel that will be going in there. So to start out, I will cut a template of this, mold it to this, which isn't going to be hard to mold to, basically. And then, with a hammer and a dolly, roll this edge. I'll probably end up rolling this edge first and then contorting it. I don't know, it kind of makes me a little nervous doing it that way, but it might be a little bit easier. I think the metal behind here is good, because what I can get to is pretty good. Let me cut this panel, form it, and get it in here. Okay. If I can get my orientation right. There we go, orientation's right. See, I went ahead and decided to put the curve in it right now just because it's going to be a little bit easier than when it's rounded. If it's rounded, then I'm going to lose that round. So basically, it's just get it in the car, and probably we'll mark off where it needs to be cut inside the car and go from there. It's pretty close within orientation. I'll be able to bend that as I weld it. No biggie. So what I will do, let's stuff that up in there. Make sure I got the area I want. Put the weld. Yep. Because I'm going to look to be replacing maybe that and that too. At least the back side of it maybe. Alright, since this is the way I'm doing it, it's a little kind of backwards. But I'll cut just to the inside of this line here. I mean, just to the inside of it. And that should make this nice and tight. Remember, this panel doesn't have to be 100%. It's not like when I patch this down here on the outside. That'll have to be perfect. This does not have to be perfect. It just has to do its job, which is keep water from coming through the wheel well and getting on me. So, and ruining the whole inside of the car. Because that's what looks like happened here. Rust spot there, rusted hole here. Yeah, combination of probably a handful of different things, but I'm going to go ahead, grab the body saw and chop that out. So this is going to be my first shitty fix, I guess you can say. Remember, all this is going to be covered in interior. It's not going to be seen. What the objective behind all this is to keep the outside elements outside. This has nothing to do with outside elements. This is this piece right here. It doesn't really matter. When I weld this piece in, I don't have to deal with outside weather. If there's any of this backing right here that's messed up, which I can't find anything that's messed up back here, it's all nice and solid. I look down through here, it looks good. It just looks like there's a little, it got a little bit of rust when all this weird stuff happened, just like this little surfacey rust that's kind of built up right here. And as you can see up here where I just kind of hit it with the grinder, and you might not be able to see that. You can. You'll see it later when I go to stitch weld, but it's nothing. It's just like a little surfacey rust that came right off. So what I'll do is I'll just weld this patch in all right here, grind it down, make it good, and then be careful when I stitch weld. But first I'm going to put some rust converter. I cleaned this up a little bit. I'll clean it up a little bit more. Put some rust converter on it and protect it. That's basically all that needs. perfect. None freaking good. Where's my gutters? Where's my gutters? Bring my gutters, snap, snap. You see about this whole snapping shit off every time. Sorry for horrible lighting, just not much light comes down in here. You can see where the little gap thingy is right there. But remember, this whole objective is to keep what is outside, not this little inside panel. This does not absolutely matter at all. So I'm not worried about it. I'll address all the other issues here in a second. Went ahead and cleaned this all up and sprayed some of the rust converter inside of it. You can see those little divots that I couldn't get into. Those were making me really nervous, so this should fix that problem. I'll put 2 coats on there, let it dry, and then let it sit for 48 or so hours before doing any filler work. Oh Lord, freak out! I didn't prime the back of the panel before doing it. When I go to do the S14 subframe in the car, I gotta clear out all the suspension anyway. So when I clear out all the suspension brakes, all that stuff, and the subframe, I'll have the car a lot higher off the ground. I'll get up in there and I'm going to remove every last bit of the undercoating there. It's simple. I want to remove all the undercoating because it's old, it's damaged, it's icky. It's actually not that bad, but there's a couple spots that have worn down a little thin or to metal, and then there's the one little rusty spot somewhere. It's on one of the sides. I'll address all that then. Same goes for this panel. The back side of the panel, there's one little corner spot. You can see light through it. That's because I didn't quite get the panel when I cut. I cut slightly off just because it was an awkward angle. I will address that when I get up underneath the car to do the wheel wells. I'll finish welding that. I'll grind it all down. Well, not all down, but I'll just kind of grind off anything that's there that doesn't need to be there. And then I'll undercoat the whole thing again, because I'm going to remove any kind of loose undercoating, anything like that, do any touch-ups that need to be done, fix anything that needs to be done from basically this whole back half of the car. And then we go do the motor and transmission and stuff. It'll be the underneath of the car about that far forward will all be fixed, because the transmission, I got to clear for the transmission and the tunnel, so on and so forth. So we'll address them as we go.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.